And with that, you can see on your screens, Vexed versus MnM Gaming here as our second semi-final of the ESL 6 Premiership Winter Finals is underway. It is XR, Troika, and Democast taking you through this action, and our first two bands are already in.
Hold on, wait, I cast? Do I do that?
You do.
I thought
Twitter tells me that.
I thought I just talk. Just could be demo talks,
okay,
like another person.
And
you know?
Freddie casts, all right?
Oh, yes, yes. Love Freddie. Too bad Freddie's had to go home, quite sadly. But hey, he's here in spirit. And let's get underway between MnM Gaming and Vexed Gaming. Let's see, or Vexed Ebar, as they're known there as well. Either way, it is Vexed, the team that we know so well from this season of Premiership. They are the team which just takes what they want, and they will do what they want before they even know what they want. So, certainly Vexed, they're coming into it. I just don't know where this is going to go. This is going to be a bit of a crazy bank, I must say.
I think that the bans certainly speak to how interesting this could be. Obviously, we're not seeing anything too different in a mirror being banned out on bank. That's maybe to be expected. But the Capital, you know, it's to be expected. But I think there are other operators that maybe fall into that second ban slot a little bit more comfortably. The fact that Jackal's on the board, that could certainly prove a bit of a problem for any roam game that either side want to bring to the table. But you can see there that we're already going to be 6-picking into a sneaky little cavi.
Wow, shock.
Shock and horror.
Enter surprised face here. That's certainly one thing that I am not surprised, because it's Vexed, and they just take anything that they can just to try and catch people by surprise. Of course, looking at the MnM lineup, what is that attack? That's the new one. Sure, Montagne, common in some aspects, not too much, and certainly whenever Glaz isn't there, then it makes them just that little bit weaker. But then, you know, you have Finka there, which is a real wild card. 10 seconds left.
Well, you know, Finka seen great effect being coupled with the use of shields. So perhaps Monty looking to take a little bit of advantage of that. Obviously, it's more typical to see that maybe used in conjunction with a blitz. But yeah, like you say, Monty and no smokes, sometimes a little bit different, and not something that you see all too often.
So, we do have, I'd imagine, a bit of room game coming in from the players of Vexed. Fairly common, I'm not really surprised. You can even see an aggressive Jaeger there. That's also another one that's very, very strong position. That server can't really get much out of it. There's no, you know, wall you can breach. You just have to basically run through the doorway. And whenever there's a player there, it does make things just a little bit harder. So maybe they rotate in Montagne to try and deal with that. And look, Feral, Coach Feral, just to add as well, even though he's an analyst, so he's a liar. He's analyst Feral, but hey, he's looking up to his role model. He's looking up to the Shas. Everyone wants to be Shas, you know? But moving in, Montagne in, not really surprised by the kind of setup that certainly MnM are taking with this attack.
No, definitely they're taking good control. Obviously, like you say, the big job for them at this point is going to be to try and take control of blue stairs, which it looks as though they're doing now. Legion Mines are going to be pinging out, and Prox there are going to open up that hatch and just allow a little bit more line of sight downstairs into the server.
Still, Feral lurking in the distance. Looking at it, Ollie, I would say that the Caviera, sure she's there, but she's not doing anything. I'm quite surprised by that.
Yeah, I think at this stage, Cavs really just trying to make that late rotate and wait for the players of MnM to get well established in their attack, take what they want to take, and maybe just kind of forget a little bit that they've got, you know, a defender that's unaccounted for. And Caviera's the best operator to do that with. You've got the silent step ability. You can see now creeping around through top floor, just ever so slowly making her way over to the skylight area, where no doubt she's going to come head to head, but not before checking the hatch down into open area.
She may find somebody, yes she does, but I'm sure that will not be an interrogation, just a quick and clean kill, and actually he will be caught out, but wow, what a rotation down one hatch. I thought he was going to go for the other one. Claymore just barely misses him, and everybody else from Vex are going to get pressures. MnM will continue their attack in towards server, and having Feral, he is taking 2 players away from that push. This should make things so much easier on the defense, and Citizen, he finally does finish off Feral, and 30 seconds to go. That will be Finka off the board. A massive, massive kill gone. Toki has rotated himself in. Could possibly be the detrimental flank. No, what a shot coming in. The flank being held by Citizen. That man on the Ash is deadly in the right hands. 15 seconds to go. Echo drone's available. Another smoke canister gets deployed. Goo Mine will be enough to take down the Montagne. down to the two FBI operators. Vermite pushes in, dead. Will Ashe also follow in the footsteps? Yes, she will. Doesn't find anything, and that will be the easy cleanup round from the players of Vexed. And well, Feral.
You really can't argue with a roam clear like that. You know, going through and not really realising that Feral's playing offside all the way over in main lobby, near main entrance. And just the ability and the flexibility that he gave himself to be able to rotate all the way back, both hatches being open. He could have even dropped right down into sight and just played his life from there, maybe even got a reset at that point. But he chose to, you know, continue with what he was doing, which was just wasting time. And I think by the time that he died, there was only 40 seconds left on the clock. So not a lot of time left for MnM to complete their push.
So we will have another defensive round for Vexed. I said we don't really know what Vexed are going to do, but maybe, just maybe, somebody who has past experience with this team and has played inside the Premiership weeks may shed more of a light. Yes, it is your favourite penguin in all the world. Pengu has joined us here on the desk. How are you, my friend?
I'm good, thank you, sir. What we just saw from Feral there is a classic pocket strat, right? That's what we see. He's gonna say, we take Caveira, we hide somewhere, and this is where MnM made a slight mistake. They didn't pick Jackal. You can't, you know, you can't track the Caveira, that's fair. But if you don't play Jackal, at least have a really good drone setup, right? Have rotation drones near the top floor, near main lobby, near TMs, where Feral was hiding, so at least you have an idea if someone is roaming. Because not a big deal if it's like a Doctor or a Jaeger, whichever, but if it's a Caveira, silent steps, gets upstairs. I think personally, he could have waited with killing the Sophia for even longer and just tear apart once they execute. But getting that early frag, and as you said, distracting 2 people pretty much the entire round after that, it's massive.
Certainly big indeed, and however that Caveira will not be brought to the table this time. Instead, more of the ACOGs will be shown, and we do have the dock being brought. And well, there's only really one person that we would ever really see that dock being played, and no real surprise that Doki's picking that off. He takes his pride, and that's his favourite operator in the game. Quite a bold statement. There's a lot to choose from, but he thinks that Doc is just the all-round tank, and certainly he does put in good use because we've seen that through so many weeks.
Oh yes. We also see they actually pick Jackal now in fear of the roamers, so the mind game that we put in the first round from Feral actually works here, because now they're forcing a less utility-based operator into the lineup, which is essentially useless for CO attack, and most importantly, they're not going to be roaming, but they have to pick it because they're scared.
Yeah, definitely, like you say, it just gives that extra element to think about, and that's only in round 1. This time, Vexed are going to be able to play a lot more, you know, reserved maybe, and just sort of try and hold angles. Not really going to concern themselves with too much of a deep roam, trying to hide away and then get a flank off, but that's certainly going to be something that MnM are going to be worrying about and thinking about moving forward into this round.
I'm quite happy Nello's decided to take my advice and go Marshmallow, just because Marshmallows and Molotovs for MnM. What a name from that. What a shot as well, as already Citizen once again getting things rolling for that team. Pi will be eliminated, so Legion on the roam will be gone. Even more tags come in, even more bullets rattle off, and I'm loving the positioning. This is a three-man pinch coming in to find one player. This is a great setup from MnM, and well, just like that, the bullets will fly. Still, Castle stuck in quite an awkward position, so is Doc, as that will be Doki sent flying. Oh, just that will be Jackal easing his way in, and somehow Feral's managed to rotate all the way in towards
But here's a drone.
ATM, and he's going to get droned out as well. That is massive. But no, he missed the drone, but there finally Feral gives himself away. If he wins this gunfight, I will be very, very surprised.
He's definitely got no business winning this gunfight. I think that Prox is well positioned, but ultimately, Feral doesn't have to do anything in this scenario. The more time that he can waste at this stage, the better. As the castle, his barricades will be up, and he's just going to be able to provide some good call-outs for his team, whilst wasting a lot of the time and totally tying up now two attackers that are trying to get this pre-fire. So Prox has done a great job there, bringing it in as the team and managing to get that crossfire developed, but it has wasted a lot of time. Moving in, it is looking still favourable for MnM. They're going to be 5 versus 2 at this stage, although the denial that is left on Vexed is substantial in the smoke and Echo. Smoke having all 3 toxic canisters available at this stage.
So not just one Zac, but 3 Zacs stuck inside of the bomb site. Great peek around from Jesus. Oh, the double was nearly there, but no, Nello will pick up that kill, and Refrag comes in from Zach as well. A 1 versus 3 shot from the SMG11. Excellent plays from the smoke. A 1 versus 2, but you still go against not just Citizen, but Turtle will be there with the support. Wonder if he has any utility. Yes, he does, and the defuse has to come down really quick, but the gas canisters will be enough to stall it this round indefinitely. But no, he's missed the one on the window, and that will be the kill from Turtle, as Zach just overpeaks just slightly. And that will give MnM the advantage, and well, they do bounce back with a great attacking round. The positioning, the room clear out was everything that MnM needed.
Yeah, and it really doesn't hurt to go for the roamers, especially on a map like Bank. As soon as you start introducing 3 staircases into a map, it does become very viable to roam on quite freely. And the way that they were able to take over some, good map control there, working as a team very well as well. We commented on that kill that Feral suffered at the time, and it was a great example of a good crossfire developing within quite a short space of time. I know we talk about a lot of time being wasted in that scenario, but I think MnM did a very good job at quickly shutting that down as quick as they could to be able to progress on into the round.
Well, they definitely did. One thing I would love to see, honestly, is that I want to see that when they run the top floor Intellis defense, I want to see them extend it a little bit for more adaptability. They have the Echo Drones for information. Yes, they play the IQ, but they're attacking from the main lab side and heaven side. They could leave one wall soft from small copy into Teller's bomb site, or Archive's bomb site, sorry, and enable the open area roam, right? You fall down the generous hatch, you give up top floor, you survive. Because we see 2 guys roaming top floor, they both die, it's 3 versus 5, and the guys on side are going to get demolished from vertical play. But by opening up the generous hatch, you can drop down and take another part of the map, give up the top floor, and still pinch from multiple sides. But if you just play 2 angles like this, and you lose the gunfight, you will lose the round.
Yeah, I guess it's difficult to almost give up that control to gain that control in that scenario. You're saying there about opening hatches just seem a little bit counterintuitive sometimes to do. But like you say, if you're going to play it in a particular way and you're going to be playing for downstairs, it is, more beneficial maybe in the long run to give yourself more options later on into the round. Yeah,
because you have the tools. You have impacts, you have a shotgun and echo if you want to. Last round they played smoke, which also had a shotgun. And you have echo drones to get the information that you want. Yes, the Valkyrie isn't being played right now, but the echo drones should give you beneficial information to the point where you can choose where on the map you want to play on.
Yeah, I think the thing about IQ is if you see that there's more than one way of having that electronic detectability. So, for example, Valkyrie and Echo's both available. Yeah, IQ makes a pretty common pick. If maybe just Valkyrie was there and Echo and Maestro was banned, then yeah, maybe you can get away with not running the IQ. But certainly, whenever you put yourself at that risk of not having the IQ against Valkyrie cameras and on Bank, a massive map, then yeah, things start to go wrong.
No, it's massive. Also, like Lesion, small factor, but having IQ for Lesion traps is super beneficial. It's not something that a lot of teams do, but it definitely makes it easier, seeing as they are, near invisible.
Even helps with operators like Vigil, who is very common in this map as well. We've seen him lurking many times, but then that's kind of why they bring the Vigil, or not the Vigil, the Jackal, who is the complete counter to the Vigil. You can't really get away from it. And I think that Echo Drone has been spotted out from Citizens. That should be a pretty easy cleanup for Proxy. Just walks on in and should manage to clean all of those electronics up. But looking at MnM and their setup, Ollie, they're pretty spread out. You can see one person over towards Garage, one person over towards Skylight, one on the roof. Pretty spread out in terms of if they want to make this attack work.
Yeah, I mean, I think that they're certainly doing their due diligence in droning, and they're taking the time to gain this control. You can see their proxy still hanging about on top of the roof, so it's a difficult position to be, halfway into the round, because you're not then able to trade out any kills that might need trading, when the shots start to fly. So, and the Turtle there is going to be repelled on main entrance. So we've got 2 guys there that are going to be quite a long way out of the fight. I think Citizen's actually down in this process, and we've got him quickly being revived by Frau. Marshmallow struggling with a Lesion there, but just making sure he's holding the angle before taking it out, just making sure his teammate can be revived in time. So it's certainly time now for the remaining players of MnM to be making the way into the building, or at least trying to hold an angle that they know is going to get pushed. I believe Pi has been taken down in the process as well. So this is going to be an effective, oh, there we go, kill from Marshmallow. Just going to be finishing that one off, taking us into a 5 versus 3. And about a minute left on the clock.
Certainly MnM, you can see the pace that they play. It's so much more slow, methodical, really trying to drain every single bit of life out of this Vexed defense. Prox, he was in the garage roof, tried to rotate in, try and find a different way in. Wow, the jump out came in from Zach, and he was unaware. Turtle was right beside him on the window. Marshmallow also picks up one. However, the refrag comes in from Jesus. 1 versus 3, a familiar sight for this man in many occasions. He has clutched up a couple of times for Vexed. Will this be one of those moments? stuck inside of Janner. Diffuser has not been implemented by Frau yet. I believe he's trying to work his way in, and that reinforced wall will certainly play G's a bit of a disadvantage, as he cannot stop the diffuse from that angle, and they know where he is. He's going to be stuck. No Echo Drone available, I don't believe, as the diffuse will come in from that bomb site inside of B, but no, Prox will be there, and he has the angles, he has the crossfire, and MnM, they take round number 3.
As you said, they're very spread out, right? But the thing is that based off where they get the openings, they can choose exactly where they want to attack from. They're not limited to one side. They don't gotta go main lobby. They don't gotta go Skylight side. They have everything. And whichever side succeeds the most, that's where they just take the reinforcements and they'll just push from that side. So as you saw, they killed off the dock in Banana, the small copy windows, and they get that frag and they take main lobby side while also breaching Skylight, creating incredible crossfire from both sides of the map with so much pressure that there's basically no place you could play unless you're playing inside janitors, which is a very restricted area.
Yeah, definitely the crossfire that they were able to develop certainly played into their advantage there, but I think it just goes to show maybe a slight variation in these two teams and the play styles. MnM, they're showing a lot of patience, really not being
a lot of discipline.
Yeah, discipline and patience, really not being too flustered about the time, you know, only getting the diffuse down in the final couple of seconds, but with a very good man advantage when they were doing it, and still set up to be able to make sure that they were able to get trades and cover the plank going down, whereas, you know, in that position as Vexed, there's not many places to hide, but they've also not got a great need to peek all too much, and maybe just suffering from a slight little bit of over-aggression, especially on defense, where, you know, you don't really need to peek all too much because the clock is running down in your favor.
Yeah. This is the thing that back when Vitality was in EU Pro League, like, we had a very hard time as G2 and back when we were called Penta against them, because they're so incredibly talented with time management. As you said, if there's 5 seconds left, that's you know, they only need 4. They only need that one last second, basically. So when you play against a team like MnM, who is very disciplined with the time, as then over-aggression will be punished. So maybe it's time for Doki especially to like chill back a little bit. You can still play aggressive, still assert dominance in that regard, but don't over-peak too much so that you'll be at a disadvantage early on.
So, moving in, and once again, we have another room game. This time, Caviar will not be brought to the party. Instead, Vigil will make an appearance, Stokey, on the Vigil. Feral just giving that early intel. I think that's a great way to use your pulses to figure out if that server push is incoming straight away. Sometimes we see Montagne, who just pushes right on in within the first couple of seconds, followed up by usually, you know, 1 or 2 people, typically somebody and then a Thermite to try and open wall.
Yes.
You create the pinch straight away. So that's really good intel from Feral gaining that. And again, it kind of helps Doki, because then Doki knows, okay, I might have a bit of a fight coming towards me if they're not going straight for server. Jesus has the Echo Drone, and I believe that's just going to try and stop the plant if it goes down beside the soft wall. Doesn't really help if it does go on just where the standard reinforcement wall is. Yeah. But yeah, I'm liking the setup from Vex. This is a lot of intel primarily, and certainly something that they've been lacking against MnM, who have some very hefty drone work.
Yeah, definitely, but the thing is that they didn't reinforce the server ahead, so I wonder what the play is here, because as you said, Doki with the Vigil now, they got the Jackal, the counterplay, the smart prediction here, Demo. But with server hedge not being reinforced, they don't have many tools in terms of fighting area, so I assume they're gonna fall back and waste time and try to deny with the C4s that they have and the Echo Drone, but again, if Doki was on a utility-based operator like Ella or any other C4 operator, it would have been so much better, in my opinion, than a frag and roll.
Yeah, definitely. I think if you're going to play the roam operator and you're going to play Vigil, you've kind of got to commit to it a little bit more. And that's something that you've got to work out with your own team and how you're actually going to, you know, figure that out. Maybe get a little bit of support trying to play upstairs.
Exactly.
But just kind of trying to play downstairs near the elevators isn't really quite cutting it. Feral there just going for a bit of a pre-fight on the main stairs, but to no success. It's not a bad thing having a lot of guys down on site, because this does look like it's going to go to the way where it's going to be a bloodbath in the final few seconds as everything starts to tie up and the trades start to fly through. But you can see there that Coach Feral is still able to gather a hell of a lot of information using that heartbeat sensor. And, you know, really got no reason to push. They're pushing a lot better at this stage.
Yeah, it just seems like a little bit of a half commitment from this side, because they have the possibilities at Nye, but we see the Pulse playing very aggressive and then the Vigil actually playing passive here. So I'm not sure if the plan was maybe a little bit different in terms of prepping when they came into this round, but
Feral already getting tagged up towards the main stairs as the pressure comes in from MnM. I'm sure the push will come in momentarily. The garage seems to be a bit of an option that MnM want to try and put pressure on a Citizen. This is a common strategy he has done throughout this season of Prem. Feral somehow wins that gunfight against Prox. I thought that should be a pretty easy angle for the IQ, but does not seem to be the case. Another one in the ground as Pi will be there, and even another one for Jesus as Frau's gone. Oh wow, a clean sweep from Vexed. They take round number 4. What a round from the defense.
I think that that's a really good example of Vexed saying, okay, you're going to play time, we're going to play time as well. We're not going to give you anything at all. We're just going to sit back in the site, go a little bit turtle. Maybe that wasn't the plan all along. It could have been halfway through call that it's going to be like, actually, we need to switch this up. It's not going to work. I'm going to come back down to site and we're just going to try and trade for kills in the final few seconds. But they really didn't give MnM anything to go out there. And I think that that was ultimately a much better round from Vexed. And if they can build on that and start to chain a few rounds together, because we've seen it quite going, you know, fairly back and forth up to this point.
Certainly.
You know, they're certainly well positioned to be able to take further rounds as we move on to another Teller's Office Archives defense.
It does surprise me how they made the decision, MnM the game that is, to attack the main lobby side, because they knew the server hatch, or I assume that they knew, it wasn't reinforced, so either their information scouting wasn't as clear, or their calling was just a little bit off, because if the server hatch is soft, and there's nobody playing the server for the polls, and they don't have C4s to deny, you have a very good win condition on forcing the plant in the default corner in the basement bomb side, but they choose to go main lobby breach hatches, and then half commit to a Garrett side push, but they rush in with 10 seconds left. Questionable, but I mean, it worked in the Vex's favor this time, and they played the numbers, as you said, played on time.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it is weird not to see the server side pushed as heavily as it was. You know, main stairs isn't something that usually is a big beachhead in this kind of that kind of a defense. But moving into the round at hand now, we're going to be moving up to Tellers and Archives, and you know, very similar preparation coming out. We can see Feral is going to be on the castle again, maybe trying to invest a little bit in this upstairs hold, just to try and keep hold of the site a little bit longer upstairs, leave himself open to maybe make some rotations later on into the round.
Seems to be the similar setup to what Vexed did last time whenever they defended this. It didn't work too well. I thought MnM had an excellent pinch push where you've seen 3 people just converging on the top floor roamers as much as they could. Feral also got caught out quite a little bit there in the ATMs, but still got pinched as well. So certainly MnM, they have that room clear out that we know they have. Citizen's a great player to put right up front, get in your face mentality, make you feel as uncomfortable as you can. And certainly having their operators like Jackal, which just puts the fear on even more. You know you're getting constantly tagged, so many soft walls, the wall binds come in from anywhere. Really, Vexed, you need to get some early picks if you want to make this top floor hold successful.
Yeah, I mean, they're investing a lot more now, but again, the generous hatch is not open. They have no way to fall back. If they have a guy main skylight, which they do, and a guy parking roof, you have no way to exit. You will fight till the death on this top floor, and that will be the end of it. Either you kill them or they kill you.
Definitely, it would be nice to see some planting getting done, but you can see there that Nello is going to get downed whilst upstairs, and that Doki's there going to be ready to pick up that kill. But getting traded straight back out, Turtle's going to take one onto Feral, so that's going to be Castle off the board, as well as Jackal. Jackal lost at this stage, still quite a large loss of utility, because you're still going to want to know where players are hiding upstairs. It looks like we've got Pi there, just going to be in CEO Lounge, just holding a really sort of tight angle on the doorway, and I'm not sure that Citizen's aware that he's just round the corner from him. But Citizen not really rushing all too much time, about halfway through the round. And ultimately, I think they really need to get going in this attack now and start trying to push a little bit further. He's got a lot of utility at his disposal. Breaching round, stuns, there it is. He's finally going to pick up that kill. And now they can move on with their control of upstairs. But Pi doing a great job there of wasting a lot of time.
Not only that, the Jackal's gone, so the destructibility factor that you have from that shotgun, kind of like the replacement for the buck. But then another thing is, does Prox have breaching charges? If he does, then yeah, this is fine. If he doesn't, then I start to worry, because it means that players like Zach can sit there nicely tucked away and doesn't have to worry about the vertical control that MnM are trying to establish with those 2 breaching rounds. And he does have breaching charges, so they really... that loss of having that Jackal doesn't really come into effect. Great bit of utility with the electronic device scanner. Manages to find the Echo Drone. They know where one of them is, but is going to be a non-destructible floor for him to get rid of that. Frau does go ahead and open up the double. And also a Toxic Babe, 2 Toxic Babe gets tossed out from Zach. 3 versus 4, should I say. And Citizen still above, finding any picks he can, but he will find Doki on the lurk. 3 versus 3. Doki will come in for his approach. He sees one, he finds one, another one for Doki. 2 versus 3 in the bomb site. Frau has been down by Zag and taken out. Doki for the free K. He gets it. What a rotate from the Flying Scotsman.
I mean, that is Doki making a play out of nothing there, which he needed to, because he literally just took his team in his backpack and carried them to victory that round. That is beautiful. But the thing is, they took full map control and then gave it all away again. So the question is, MnM Gaming having the discipline to take it, but not to hold it. Getting maybe a little bit impatient, or perhaps, as you said, like, missing the vertical play. They want to take as many people into them as possible, rotating that one extra person being Sophia. She could have held the flank and continued to, you know, have control of the top floor. Chose not to, and Doki read them perfectly and just went for the flank.
Yeah. I'm quite surprised that there wasn't any flank, because it's very common whenever you're playing against Vexed. They're not a team to sit in the bomb site and let you run over them. They're just going to try anything they can. Looking at Doki and his performance at Winter, very aggressive. Took the roam game as much as he could. And for that particular hold, you watch one angle and you not only shut down the skylight rotation, but that main stairs as well. I'm very surprised. Takes one guy that nullifies that effect, and you still have the man advantage, and you're still in a 2 versus 3 on the bomb site.
Exactly. So we're going to be switching sides now, and it is going to be MnM's turn to show what they've got on defense. They're going to be taking us down to lockers, which is a fairly typical pick. I can't help but think that the round count should have been maybe a little bit different up to this point. I think that MnM have certainly been in a very good position to be able to win the rounds, but there's just been some small little things that they've done that have maybe avoided that, you know, and restricted that from happening, should I say. But Vexed taking very good advantage of that, reading very well into their opponent and being able to take advantage of those opportunities when they do so arise to them. So not going to see anything too unusual in terms of lineup, although it is worth noting that Vexed are bringing a Jackal straight away. Feral's not messing around.
No.
He knows that, you know, he knows the power of the roam on this map, as he's shown us in the first round and subsequent rounds. So he's going to be ready to try and shut that down pretty much straight away.
That's the thing I want to pick up with you, Penga, because, again, I'd imagine you'd know more than me. I hope so. Maybe. But whenever I see a bit of barbed wire going garage, I think that is useless. Because I think nobody pushes that.
I mean, I certainly don't think it's necessary. I also think that I think so. If you have an echo drone here like you do, they're not gonna drone that. That is impossible, right? If you put the barbed wire there, I feel like you're kind of showing that you're investing into holding it. If you put an echo drone there or some sort of information gathering tool like a Valcam, but I think echo drone's perfect in this scenario, you can pretend you don't know they're going there and you have the information, the advantage. But now you're kind of showing that you have interest in this area of the map, and you're like, oh, it's important to us, right? I agree with you. I don't think the barbed wire is the most important spot there. But again, it depends how they want to play it, because they could fall back all the way into garage and just play the safe zone for Deco himself.
Already, just the hatch being open will be enough to scare away those players, Turtle and Citizen, lurking inside of server. Sometimes we've seen Ella Shotgun, which can do a lot of destruction in that scenario. Didn't really go for it that time, prefers using that Scorpion over it. And this is a very rapid, quick start, Ollie, from Vex going into this. Yeah,
Vex wasted no time, and this is a more typical Vex that we're used to seeing. Very aggressive, taking the bull by the horns and really getting involved and getting stuck in. They've done some good drone work to get themselves to this point, and they've managed to, you know, really manipulate the players on MnM to push them back into the site. Yeah. And look at the amount of control we've got. We're already able to waste Toxic Bays only just halfway into the round, which if you can get a lot of those out of the way and you can bait out some C4s maybe, if Prox is going to be getting one in his back pocket, all of a sudden you're leaving yourself able to get the bomb down. Little bit of an oversight there from Doki on a bit of a messed up flashbang, but he's able to burn one of the ADSs nonetheless, and now they're going to probably look to try and get some smokes in, bait out that last Toxic Bay and the Nitro Cell, and move forward into a plant in the final minute.
The win condition for Vexed here is just buying as much time as possible, or rather having as much time as they can to bait out these devs. 3 smoke grenades, there are 3 Ella traps. You see Ella already used all her goo mines, so now they're going to go for the 2-man aggressive flank here with 2 people to refrag off, worst case scenario, expecting only 1 guy towards their flank.
This is something that we've seen. The synergy that Turtle and Citizen bring is immense for this team. That's why they've had that sheer fragging potential throughout the entire season. Not that time, however. Caster's curse is straight away. Pi will be there, holds the angle. However, Frau will respond onto the Plunter. Zach tried to sneak his way in, and Pi also does the same, and he will also meet his demise. A quick peek coming in from Nello, and Citizen is there still lurking inside of open area. I'm surprised that we didn't see Jesus figure that out at that stage. 10 seconds, and well, Vex, they are just running into their demise. And wow, great retake from MnM, and I still don't know why Vex are not holding that.
Honestly, I don't know who played this better, because in my opinion, Vexed played that textbook perfectly. They were in serves by a minute and 45 seconds. They had all the time in the world. But then again, MnM plays it really smart. Yes, they use the smoke canisters early, and they also use the goo mines really early. But when those resources are used, they will take those two quote-unquote useless operators for the deny strat and go aggressive with them. You know, Jaeger flanking with Ella, Smoke still staying on side. They also have a spare C4 and Pulse, and they will still have deniability on side while also flanking at the exact same point. So they have multiple pressure again. But Vexed not holding the staircase. It's the same scenario as last round when Doki flanked up Skylight stairs. This time they didn't hold the main stairs.
Yeah, definitely, and I think that it's something that you've got to really take into account is if you're going to take that much control early on and you're going to get yourself into that kind of deep position to be able to get a plant down, start baiting out the utility, you've got to have a plan for what happens when those guys say, actually, I'm useless on site, I'm going to make a flank, I'm going to make a last-minute rotation, and look at what it's done for him. MnM with a fantastic read on Vexed, and they really, they had to take the chance with that, but ultimately it paid off. We're going to be seeing them switch things up just slightly. They're going to opt for CEO for their second defensive round, but I think up to this point it's just neck and neck, and it's almost going exactly as we thought, in that there was not really one of us that could pick a clear winner out of this. I think these two teams are very well matched for each other.
I think it's going to come down to the individual playmaking of key players here, as we see Doki played around really well. The retake last round really well done. But one thing I want to note here is that I'm starting to see both teams use what we call the G2 CEO strat, right? This is something I have a lot of pride in. This is a strat that Fabian came up with at 2 AM in the night. You play one ACOG operator, that's going to be the Dr. Prox. He's going to play Banana here on this angle with long reinforced. And he's going to play aggressive with information, either bulletproof camera or Echo drone. You cast off 3 of the windows of Banana, 1 is soft reinforced. And that allows you to just have as much control of the rappel as possible. And I'm proud to say that we made that strat.
Yeah, it's looking very G2S, I must say. You play Kanto in that position with the Dockers. It's all kind of fitting into that. And I know that your team has scrimmed the MnM roster as well. You've scrimmed them because, they're a very up-and-coming team. I think they had a great performance at Winter.
Certainly.
And it can only go up from there. Nello just barely missing Doki. Tags him up just a little bit, but as long as Doki's alive, he can do some damage with that Ash, and even Feral joining him on the windows as well. And this is where Blackbeard would have been good.
This is interesting, because Doki's not a window player, I wouldn't say, and there we go, not a window player.
Okay, yeah, good stuff.
It's interesting to have 2 guys repelling, though, because typically speaking, you don't want to invest 1 guy, because they might have window control, but they have no pressure on the bomb side in the meantime. So the guys that Doki's trying to fight can freely run around and contest him as he pleases, making the rappel extremely vulnerable for Doki. I think they were a little bit too aggressive there.
Yeah, definitely. You've got to be, if you're going to have someone set up to watch an angle or watch a rotation, you've got to have someone else that's going to be pushing that player that you want to make rotate. And maybe that's just what they were missing there in Doki. I would have expected Doki to, go up the staircase and maybe been in that position that Feral's just in. But Prox there is going to come out on top, juice himself back up as the Doc, and be ready to go another day. He's going to be hiding himself out in the elevators and just waiting for his next victim. No doubt that Jesus is aware of his location there. And quite nice if Jesus maybe used one of the Habanas to open that hatch, but he's going to pre-fire it through and just make Prox think about what's going on there. But we're going to see Nello there's going to pick up one onto Zach, and Citizen pick another one straight back onto Pi. So kills coming out pretty thick and fast there for MnM, and it's looking very good for them. Nello going to pick up that final kill onto Jesus, and that's going to be a consecutive round for MnM this time. So they're managing to start chaining them together now, and they're building this momentum a little bit better.
Yeah, I'm not sure what they were trying to do that entire round, because they went too early on the windows. Doki got picked off, 4 vs 5. Then they know there's a doctor in the elevator after he peeks aggressively, but they choose not to breach the hatch first. They just push up the staircase into a massive amount of crossfire with no advantage to their disposal. And not really much information from the drones either, so they need to have a more decisive plan where they want to approach from, and most importantly, in what kind of pacing they want to do it, because one part is going too slow compared to how fast the other one is going, and they're just not matching each other's timings right now.
Still waiting for, something very Vexed-esque, which would be rush.
We are.
I'm still sure that will come at some stage. We don't know when. Vexed don't know when. It's just if Feral wants to go for it, or maybe Doki just decides to do it himself. Who knows? Yeah,
that's the information part, because if Feral has information to make these calls, he will make them, because he doesn't care. We play with this guy all the time, and he's ruthless.
Yeah.
You've got to have that on your team, and to some degree, you've got to have someone that's willing to lay it all down on the line and see if it's going to pay off. Because we were talking about it earlier, calculated aggression is a very powerful thing, and knowing when to turn it and knowing when to turn it on and knowing when to turn it off is the biggest part of its success. And I don't think that we've seen anything too crazy from Vexed so far in terms of aggression. It seems like they've been doing quite a bit of drone work. It seems like they've been making use of you know, everything at their disposal, which in previous weeks is something that we've maybe not seen as much of. A bit of Caster's Curse there. They're going to lose 2 drones in the prep phase, which isn't great. But you know, it seems like they're making calculated decisions and they're not just sort of brute forcing their way into things. But obviously, there are things that they could be maybe you know, pushing a little bit better at this stage.
Yeah, Feral, IGL, we've seen that from week number 7, he wasn't there. And it was really rough on Vex. We've seen them struggle, they didn't have that same kind of composure and confidence. Straight away, as soon as Feral comes back in for week 8, brand new team. He calls the shots, he sees opportunities. Like you said, you've played with him, he's a smart guy.
Very smart.
Not as smart as Fabian, I'm sure. Because
well, Fabian is the best player in the world, so not many people can compare to him.
Self-proclaimed.
Technically speaking, MVP of last Pro League Finals in Rio, but, you know, stats talk for themselves. But speaking of IGL's mentality, being ruthless and all, I think a lot of teams suffer from having an IGL that is afraid of quote-unquote winning. Once you get that match point, you want to play it safe, but in reality, you got to push the brakes really hard, right?
Yeah. So, Toki, once again on those windows. Like you said, not a window player last time. Absolutely obliterated on this window. Will it be the same case? And Feral just creeping up against 2 players stuck inside a long desk. Feral just back in his drone, could toss a couple of nades in there as well if he gets lucky, as a very aggressive roam game will try and be implemented by the players of Vexed. They are, should I say, MnM, and Vexed, well, they're certainly taking full advantage, knowing that they're trapped essentially inside of a deaf janitor's closet, as one will fall, Turtle eliminated, and Feral looking for the second, but no, the getaway comes in, and the defender just managed to drop through the hatch, supported by some more teammates as well. Look at the aggressive standpoint in towards open area. We've got a couple of players just lurking, ready for anybody who wants to drop. Doki will find proc, so the dock is off the board, a 5 versus 3, and this is where Vex start to pick up the pace quite drastically indeed. Feral inside of the bomb site, and Zach, I'm sure, will come in and join him to try and get the defuse off as quick as he can. Doki just tearing apart his old lineups roster. Citizen, no sights on the gun. I'm sure he probably didn't put any sights in that, and that will cost him. And Vexed, another clean sweep.
Just for a side info for people watching is that when you play LAN, you often get a LAN build, which is very separate from your normal Uplay or Steam client. So you need to separately set up every single operator, you know, every gadget, every scope, etc. And it does happen very often that you'll miss an operator because you don't typically play that character, or you simply just forgot because there are a lot of operators out there nowadays. The other thing is that MnM is either stream sniping, they're extremely clever because they made that rotation into open area as I was asking the Vex to do, and I'm so happy to see that because they played it essentially smart, but unfortunately didn't end up with a win.
No, I think that we saw a very good clear there from Vexed. Feral and Doki there doing a fantastic job of creating a bit of a pincer on that top floor. Doki there playing on the long corridor upstairs, and Feral, sorry, just hiding out in CEO, waiting for his time to strike. Did a fantastic job there of you know, clearing up that roam clear, making sure that they had full control, and then being able to move on. But interesting to note that that's another round that's gone in sort of almost like a landslide, in that I don't think that Vexed really suffered too many casualties there. But we'll have to see what goes on in this round. Of course, going to be moving ourselves on to a downstairs objective, as we've got, again, a fairly standard setup, although we're going to see Prox this time switching on to the Pulse, so perhaps going to go back down into servers and just try and gather some of that early information for his team.
Yeah. If I know Vexed right, they're going to try to do the exact same attack again because they did do it successfully, but they just didn't make it to that last stage due to the flank. So I'm going to expect them to take servers, breach the wall, but this time hold the main stairs flank. Because essentially speaking, again, they played it perfectly, but the flank was open. So if they could just fix that small problem, play the exact same way, they should have this in the back.
Yeah, definitely. It's mistakes that have been made on both sides that both sides can learn on, and it seems like we're just so close to either side having a very perfect round, but they're really just able to counter each other and read each other so well. But it's just another exciting game, really. I mean, we're literally going round for round yet again. It's almost a carbon copy of what we saw in the first semi-final that we had today.
It's so much more interesting to watch, though, because I would hate to see, you know, a 6-0 stomp and you're like, oh, these guys were better or whichever, because these games go back and forth, and you never really know who's going to bring it home. And again, we love overtime, right?
Yeah, I was looking very forward to EGG2, but no. What did you go ahead and do?
To be completely honest, I think we used a lot of that overtime power and like really close game for the Invitationals earlier this year.
I'm sure that you are ever so prepping for that, and certainly Feral doesn't seem to be prepping as he's here and he's taking part in this wonderful tournament that we've had for consecutive 8 weeks, and this is for all the marbles. And it's exactly the same way that it planned out last time. Vexed taking control of server. Possibly Montagna could have been a good operator here because we know the pushing power that Montagna brings, but really Vexed aren't the team to do that kind of plays.
No, they don't, I wouldn't say they have a typical quote-unquote shield player at their disposal. They have a lot of fraggers, have a lot of brains, but I don't believe they have a shield player.
No, and obviously, if you're going to have the Monty, you're going to want to be bringing some sort of smokes to try and aid that plant. They've not really got anything like that. They're going to be heavily relying on baiting out utility and maybe getting some kills. Feral here in a fantastic position, just able to cause some disruption. Push people out. Doki there pushing straight in, getting the kill onto Turtle. Is he going to be able to find another? Not sure if that grenade is going to deal him any damage. He's going to be peeking on into the gold vault. Toxic bays are going to be coming out, but the diffuser is down. This is looking very, very good for Vexed in this position. Now it is all on the players of MnM to try and retake this site, but they're going to be going up against 5 attackers. They're going to opt to go for almost what looks like a full man roam straight up, but they're going to get absolutely cut down. We got Pi there watching the angle. Citizen going to trade it straight back out, but that's going to be it for MnM. Their position is going to be known. 2 quick kills coming out, 3 quick kills coming out to finish off that round, and Vex doing a great job there, getting the diffuser down, having the operators in all the right places to be able to cut that roam apart.
That was beautiful. I would say that Doki went for a counter arcade play right there, or as we call it, quote-unquote rank play. He just went in full distraction mode, got the frag, and even distracted the smoke deep into cache side so he couldn't smoke off the planter, and somehow, some way, that worked beautifully. Wow,
Doki rank plays, even though he is currently at this moment the #1 ranked player in the world. The first guy to get diamond.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was.
I'm not surprised. I mean, Doki is, you know, it is his domain. Like, Leon Gitz might be the ranked CEO, but Doki's coming for that spot right now.
Yeah, you see the difference between Leon and Doki is that Leon doesn't need to play ranked to prove he's good.
Oh, okay. I mean, right now I would say Doki's fighting otherwise because he is trying to prove himself outside the ranked domain right now. Yeah,
he's done well for himself. I think that he had a great showing at Winter for his first LAN.
Definitely.
And it can only get up from there.
Yeah, no, I really love seeing the synergy between Funkers and Doki, who are both playing for MnM at DreamHack Winter.
He is Bunkers.
Bunkers is Bunkers. That is.
That's the best way you can put it to that man. So, moving in for potentially the final round here inside of Blank MnM. They need to fight back if they want to take it to that overtime. It will be decided on a bottom floor defense. They have a fairly standard lineup, nothing really that they've done too crazy. They have the intel from Echo for that plant denial smoke. Always going to be a smoke there. Sometimes I've seen teams ban out a smoke to try and catch your opponents by surprise, but for the most part, it doesn't really come into that big a play because, of course, Echo is so good at that, and just the retake strategy sometimes we've seen from the defense, especially in this match,
definitely,
it's been immense. It has been really one of those matches where you can't really call what's going to happen next.
No, it's very open to, you know, whichever side really wants it at this stage. And I think both teams have had, you know, flashes of brilliance. I mean, that plant on the previous round, I know it was the last round, but it was just so well executed, getting the bomb down and then being in just the right positions. I mean, Pi was all the way over near main lobby, near the elevators, and that's not a position that you're expecting an attacker to be in at that stage, but because they had so many men left on site and so many guys left on the, you know, alive on the board, they were able to spread out and just be able to cut it down. They read it again very, very well. We got Citizen going to have a lot of utility in the blue stairs. He's got some barbed wire deployable shield and an ADS, all of which are going to help him survive, and an Element, sorry, to boot. And it's just going to be all about how long he's going to be able to hold this for, but he's going to be able to waste a lot of time. You can see there, ADS is going to start getting burned. He's not going to push that all too much. He's going to rotate out with his life very quickly. Turtle going to come in, just give it a short peek, but it looks as though MnM are going to retreat off that. They're not going to push it. They've not really got much reason to at this stage. It's going to be a difficult fight for them to win. Prox there going to be on the pulse, just gathering as much information as he can at this stage, and the hatch is going to get open. Prox now going to be in a tough spot. He's going to throw the C4. I think it just caught the lip of the hatch, and that does not do any damage to anybody. He's now going to be getting punched fairly heavily, but Citizen is going to come to his aid. Citizen with a very aggressive play. Doesn't quite manage to pick up the kill. Doki there is going to punish Citizen for that aggression, but he downs Feral in the process. Feral no doubt going to get revived. Doki surely going to be aware of where Pulse is at this point as the drone comes out there from Zach. Doki there just going to be making sure that he's able to get this kill. Peeks the wrong side, but Prox comes out on top. 4 versus 4. Prox doing a great job of staying alive, but Zach's going to pick him up on the re-peek. Zach there going to make his way onto opening the wall, and that's going to be, I think Vexed have definitely come out on top in that engagement. They only lost Doki and they managed to take out 2 crucial players from the MnM lineup.
It could have been a lot worse. I thought Citizen was on for a potential 2K, but no. The quick fires from Vex managed to put him at bay. Still 50 seconds to go. This is plenty of time for Vex. They already, MnM using their smoke canisters. 1 more left for Nello. He's going to have to make it count, and Frau still has that little cheeky Echo Drone hitting just inside off that table. Turtle, can he do anything potentially? Could we see the late rotate flank like we've seen before? But no, he's going to be on the bomb site, and a complete line of snakes trying to work in towards Vexed. Feral taking as the lead snake just on his belly along with Thermite, commando style from Vexed. That'll be an important kill as that will allow then the plant to come in. Nello gone, smoke off the board. Important kill. Frau has the MP5 SD, sees it, but no, what a shot from Feral. Turtle will refrag a 1 versus 3. He is going to have to pull out all the stops if he wants to take this round. But no, that will be it. All said and done. As Vex, they take the first map, 6 rounds to 4.
Yeah, it was a very good round. I think that you really can't argue with the way that Vexed attacked that, winning 2 rounds on the bounce downstairs in, well, 3 rounds on the bounce, but 2 successful attacks of lockers downstairs. You know, they certainly managed to get their game in order toward the latter stages, and they were certainly providing, you know, proving themselves very powerful at being able to, you know, get in and get those kills and just show a little bit of that aggression, which, you know, it's never really done too much harm in the past.
So, Demo, you didn't think Bank would go that way?
I think Bank was a bit of a wild shot. I wasn't even expecting Bank to begin with. I think that's more of a point. And sure, it was close. It was very close. Like, it went to overtime. I thought both teams played it well, but Vex just having just that little bit of an edge. I think their solo fragging power, which we mentioned, Doki, the raw potential that guy has is unbelievable. But I'm sure we'll see how MnM then do. They still have another map to go, and a very good one for them at that. Consulate, very, very strong map for the most part for MnM. We've seen them prove time and time again why they're strong at that map. But can Vex maybe look at what's happened and what's went wrong and capitalize on potentially some of those little hiccups that MnM have had in their run?
Yes, certainly. I mean, I think that there's certainly things for both teams to go away and take away from that, things that they can develop on, things that they can maybe look to do a little bit differently. I mean, there was some little basic things, maybe like holding flanks and stuff like that, that just weren't getting done. And that was something that was for both sides. You know, I'm not really going in on anybody in particular. But, I mean, look at this play from Feral there on that first round, just really giving MnM something to think about early on.
And to say, holding flanks is a tough one to do on Bank, right? There's a lot of places to hold, a lot of things to watch, because it's such a big spread out map. We're going to Consulate next. Consulate is a little bit more regimented when it comes to watching your flanks and holding your angles and holding your rotates. Yet even in our first game today, we saw Unnamed fall pry to Leon's late flanks and then decimating attacks from behind. These two teams, from what you've seen in this opening game again here, do you think they're going to be better all round at holding those now, or do you think there's still an opportunity for one of these two teams to really make the most of one of those flanks?
Oh, I can see just both teams going full out aggression. We've seen that already. I think it's kind of who can ever out-frag who. It's more, oh, you've fragged us, we'll try and frag you harder the next round. That's just been where the overwhelming kills have come in left, right, and center. A lot of people being left in deficit because the fragging has been so heavy. And like we've seen, you know, I believe 3 flank rotations in that match that we had from not just Vex, but also from MnM as well. There is weaknesses, and I'm sure Consulate, another very heavy roam map where you have those 3 sets of staircases. I can see it kind of planning out a little bit similar.
In terms of, say, look at the stats and things there as we look towards our next one. In terms of operator bans heading towards the next map, heading what we've seen the operator bans coming through from the Secret game. Do you expect we're going to see another Pulse ban, perhaps? He is a strong roamer on console, and he's there, but that was just because of Lackey in the first game. Do we have any a comparable Pulse player in here that might draw a ban, or is he going to be ignored in place of operators we saw banned from that first game? We're going to see things more similar to this map.
Oh, I can see just Valk being gone right off the board. I think it's a bit of a common feature now, just specifically for that map, similar to the way Blackbeard is also banned on that just because it's consulate. And then really the other defensive operator, Maestro Echo, take your pick.
Yeah, I mean, we see Maestro Echo banned out a hell of a lot. I think in terms of which one would maybe be more beneficial to ban on a consulate, you may be looking at the Echo. Echo has a lot of value on in the ground floor, on garage, a lot of deniability there. But again, you know, Maestro, perfectly viable as well. Always difficult to tell, but I think that you've hit the nail on the head there with the Blackbeard and the Valkyrie.
Yeah, I think there's definitely staple ones here for Consulate, but it comes down to who does it, who goes with those, you know, predictable, obvious bans, and who's left with a bit of freedom to do what they wish, and who do they, what's left over to take something that they really care about.